Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am your host, John Rothman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going. As I like to point out each and every day, it expands our base, which of course is our goal. Is America a crippled giant? That is the question the world is asking. Let me give you just a few examples. First of all, the House of Representatives is not even in session because of the deadlock between Republicans and Democrats, and because of the fear that the Republicans have that if the House reconvenes and a new member of Congress is sworn in, there will be enough votes for a discharge resolution on the Epstein case in the House of Representatives. Let's be clear. One branch of government, the House of Representatives, representing the people's house, is not in session. And that to me is shocking. And may I tell you, the longest shutdown we've ever seen. Hey, take a look at what's happening in our airports across the nation. Take a look at what's happening in the SNAP program. I mean, it is inexcusable, and the Republicans should bear the blame for this government shutdown. And the simple truth is that when the Congress, the House of Representatives, reconvenes, which it will ultimately, a new member will be sworn in, and the Epstein files will be put to a vote on the floor of the House, and there will be a discharge resolution. And there will be enough votes to bring that discharge resolution not only forward, but to pass. And what will that say about the leadership of Speaker Johnson? There is a serious question when you have people in need of food in the wealthiest, most powerful, most abundant nation in the world. What in the world are they thinking about the SNAP program? I remember food stamps, which is what they were once called, and believe me, millions of Americans today are not being able to have food security because of the House of Representatives and its lack of action. This is an accountability that Speaker Johnson will have to face. And there is more. The Supreme Court of the United States is now going to determine whether or not tariffs can be imposed by the President of the United States unilaterally. This is a serious, serious question. And if, as Donald Trump suggests, he is denied the power by the Supreme Court, it will be a terrible blow to the Trump administration and to its policies. So let's stop and think for a moment. I believe that the Constitution is the guide, and the Constitution does not, in my judgment, permit a president of the United States to impose tariffs unilaterally. All we have to do is go back to the Smoot-Hawley example in 1930, when Congress imposed tariffs and then removed them. And we all understand this tremendous force which Congress should be exercising, and the fact that Congress has abdicated its power is a reflection of the tragedy engulfing the American democratic system. When will the Supreme Court rule on the question of tariffs? Well, that's a good question. They must rule soon because it's on a fast track. Some believe it will be before Thanksgiving. I certainly hope it is, because once the Supreme Court resolves the issue, then the administration is wide open in terms of what we can and cannot expect in terms of their economic policy. The election which took place this week was a stunning repudiation of Donald Trump and his policies. And so I think the Republicans have good reason to worry. But there is a problem. When, like in Las Vegas, you move all your chips to a particular bet, it's hard to change your mind as, frankly, things move forward. And the Republican Party has put its chips on Donald Trump. They believe that Donald Trump will in the end be vindicated. At least that's what they say publicly. Privately, I think there are a lot of questions. And let's deal for a moment, because all of our focus has been on the government shutdown, with foreign policy. There is no resolution in Ukraine, where the battle continues, and where Russia's assault on Kiev and the broader area of Ukraine continues. And there seems to be no let-up, no willingness to do anything to prevent this terrible tragedy from continuing to unfold. Let's be clear, Donald Trump's proposal to Zelensky and the Ukrainians that they settle on where they are now will never be acceptable. And certainly Putin's view that he must triumph, well, he isn't going to be flexible about that. And let's turn to the Middle East, where although the ceasefire with Hamas is technically holding, we know it isn't. We know there are still attacks taking place by Hamas against Palestinian civilians, by Israel against Hamas targets, and a myth has now been promulgated. And that myth is that, in fact, there is some notion of ceasefire. By the way, please note I'm not using the term peace because it's not a peace agreement. And I'm not sure it's really even a ceasefire agreement. And let's turn, if we can now, to another compelling issue, a compelling issue within the Democratic Party, which must establish leadership in order to win the midterm elections, which are taking place in just 1 year. There are real questions now about whether the Democrats will sweep, and the Republicans are worried about it. But understand, the way our system works, there is little that can be done until there is an election. There are two things I'm watching with great care. One is what the Supreme Court will do in terms of presidential power, and the second is how the Democrats are organizing for the midterm elections. And I guess the third element in all of this is what the Republican Party decides to do. If Donald Trump faces these kinds of reverses from the courts, the people, theoretically the Congress, what happens next? And let me just close by reminding you that the House of Representatives has yet to convene. And when they convene, there will be a new member who will provide those who want the Jeffrey Epstein files released the votes to do just that. And that will mean that there will be another scandal dealt with in the Trump administration. Why they refuse to support the idea of releasing the Epstein files, well, that's the great mystery. And we will find out if there is more to this story than meets the eye. It's the weekend. I will be watching carefully everything that happens. I know you will too. So thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am John Rothman. Make sure to follow along. Let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand, which is, of course, our goal. And, of course, you can interact with me, as many of you do, on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm looking forward to all of your comments. So please do continue to let me know what you think. And to Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of this podcast, thanks, Gogo, for everything you do. I am John Rothman. Have a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday with more of Around the Political World with John Rothman. See you then.